United Nations Regional Humanitarian Coordinator for the Sahel.
Instead of 10 years apart, they became 5 years apart, now only a couple of years apart. And that in turn is putting enormous stresses on what is already an incredibly fragile environment and a highly vulnerable population.
Add to this weak political institutions, ethnic and religious strife, and you have a recipe for conflict.
Tuareg rebels fighting for independence and have been joined by Islamist groups apparently linked to Al-Qaeda who want Sharia.
These troops, these renegade
took
troops,
control of what they call their homeland of Azawad with great speed.
Northern Mali is part of the Sahel. In January 2012, ethnic Tuareg rebels in northern Mali began an uprising against the government. Jihadist militants joined their campaign, eventually declaring the area an independent Islamic state. Ultimately, a coalition of West African and French military forces intervened, control of northern Mali was restored, and a new government was elected. While Mali is tenuously quiet, the UN's Robert Piper says millions of people in the Sahel region are still at risk of food insecurity.
This is an enormous territory. These are borders that are uncontrolled. So there's a tremendous amount of movement of people, a tremendous amount of movement of smuggling and trafficking. No question, we had attacks in Niger in April. So there's clear evidence that there's a problem that stretches across the region. It's not confined to northern Mali.
During the conflict, over 300,000 people in Mali fled their homes. They were fleeing war, but they were also fleeing drought. Nain Chanda would call such people climate refugees.
People don't call them that because often in people's mind, climate refugees are those who leave their homes inundated by the rising seawater. But I look at climate refugees, those who have lost their livelihood and housing for not only rising water, but for tornadoes, for wildfires. I would consider them to be climate refugees.
Climate refugees. It's a phrase we're going to be hearing more often, perhaps in places we've never heard of. But we will. Experts are increasingly aware that climate change, in addition to our human problems, can erode the social contract between citizen and government, between the people and the land.